Hi, everybody. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I know I'm bouncing all over the place. Sorry. It's really bright in the room that I'm sitting in, like too bright for me to focus. Give me just a second. Let me get some of these lights off. It's too bright. Now I don't feel like my sunglasses are going to go on. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm sure we got some questions. I'm pulling up the chat, just making sure if anybody has questions, you guys feel free to answer them. I want to help my corporate America people real quick, okay? So in the event you are managing property for profit, okay? In the event you are a professional property manager and you are managing property for profit, here's my opinion to you, okay? Usually when a landlord hires a property manager, it's not because everything's perfect in their life, it's because they need help. Everything is not sunshine and roses, and they actually need a professional to take control and handle the situation. There's usually been a lot of oral agreements that have happened, different from the written terms of the rental contract, which makes it very difficult for us to enforce the terms of the written rental contract as a property manager because we don't know what oral agreements you've made with the tenant. Okay. So it can be very frustrating in the very beginning at hello when a property manager takes over a property. Here's how I can help you. Okay. So pay attention. This is a good one, I promise. Anytime you take over a property for a landlord, one of the first things that I've always done is serve a 30-day notice to change the terms of tenancy. And what I change is reverting back to the original terms of the written rental contract dated blank. What does that mean? It means in 30 days, we're going back to the written rules, and whatever oral agreements that the landlord's made with you are now off the table, and we're going back to the written rules. Why does Patty do that? It can be quite challenging if you don't have a waiver clause in your contract and can make things difficult for the landlord. Because if you waive it before, you could rewrite the rules if you don't have a waiver clause. So very important when we take over a property for an owner as a property manager, one of the things you can do so you always know what the rules are and you can jump in the fire with both feet and not get afraid that you're going to get burned is just do a 30-day notice to change terms of tenancy, reverting back to the original terms of the written contract. That way you can follow the written rules. The tenant now has to follow the written rules, and any oral agreement that the landlord has made with the tenant is now off the table. It just gives you a nice, clean, fresh start when you're taking over management, and it's an easy way for you guys to make sure that you're playing by the rules because everybody knows what the rules are. Okay. So 30-day change of terms of tenancy to revert back to the original terms of the written contract is something that I always do in a property management takeover. Okay. So just a tip and a trick for you guys, because nothing sucks worse when they say, oh, well, the owner changed that rule. Oh, or the owner changed that, or the owner allowed me to do this. I'm not playing that game. 30-day change of terms, we're going back to the rules. If there's not a written agreement, then they don't have any rules they have to follow. It depends, because you want to make sure that the addendum is understandable. Like if it's a bed bug addendum, that's not going to change the written rules. You can't orally change that. Like Prop 65, it would still be in there. You would still disclose Prop 65. You're not changing that. What you're changing is any oral agreements that were made, not any written rules. Make sense? So it wouldn't affect your disclosures at all. What it's doing is reverting back from the oral agreements that were made during the tenancy back to the written rental contract rules. I'm holding up a piece of paper, but you guys can't see it. There you go. We want to see the rules in writing. It makes it so much easier for us to plan an attack if we know what the rules are. I hope that makes sense. But it's just a tip and a trick for all of my professional property managers out there. It's a real easy way to make sure that nothing has been waived and there's not any oral agreements that are unbeknownst to us as a property manager. So it's one of the tips. I've utilized this for decades. It's just a real easy way to know exactly what's on the playing field, so to speak, when the time comes, what the game is. So it makes it much easier for us as landlords. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about today? And I'm still letting people in so everybody knows what's going on and why I keep doing this.
Patty, I have a really easy, quick question. You
Sure.
know, when we do a new lease and we're signing documents with the new tenant and we give them the bed bug addendum,
Uh-huh.
and then on there it says, on the bed bug addendum, it has the lines for us to write in, like what procedure we're asking them to take, if they do in fact realize that they have bed bugs. Do you know what
Mhm.
area? Yeah. What are we supposed to write, or what do you write in that area?
When they're suspecting of knowing bed bugs, I tell them that they must notify management immediately.
Oh, okay, that's what I read as well. I just wanted to see if there was something that I was missing.
No, you're safe. What they put that in there for is if there's specific instructions, like what to do, who to call. So notify management team immediately.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And then you have to remedy upon notification under the law.
Right, okay. And what would be the remedy under the law? Like, I mean, because I know we go in,
Eradicate them.
what exactly do you mean by eradicate?
You have to exterminate them. They have to disappear. Bed bugs are considered vermin in the eyes of the court, and it's a habitability issue.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't owe rent until you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what I mean by eradicate. You must exterminate, eradicate, eliminate the bed bugs.
Oh, the bed bug. I thought you meant the tenant. I'm like, how do I eradicate the tenant? Okay.
That's a different class.
But what if, Patty, what if they brought in the bed bugs by buying old furniture? And do you charge them the fee for eradicating the bed bugs?
Absolutely. If they're the cause of the infestation, the tenant's going to be financially responsible for the infestation.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay. But we're not talking about who has to pay for it. We're talking about who has to fix it.
Just
The owner has to
yeah,
fix
right.
it.
Got it. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the concept of eradicating the tenant when they bring in bed bugs. I mean, that's like a whole new, I'm just kidding, you guys don't. I think we all got a little laugh out of that when she said, I thought we had to eradicate the tenant. Yes.
When you
we
said
need to do that
eradicate them,
too.
I was like, wait, elaborate, because I didn't know that.
Hey, at least we all got a good laugh out of it, right? All right. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about regarding any of those types of things? Bed bug issues, something that's current. And I was looking to see if my girl's on here. I know that a lot of you have been dealing with Erin. Erin's been in our classes, and she had a tenant in the city of Los Angeles that removed the carpeting because they liked the hardwood floors underneath better than they liked the carpet. But it created a nuisance within the building because then they removed the sound barrier. So it now created a nuisance for neighboring residents and affected their right to quiet enjoyment. She's been dealing with this for almost a year, giving the tenant the opportunity to put the carpet back, didn't charge her rent for 6 months so she could put the carpet back. She didn't. I thought Erin would be on here to tell me she won her court case this week. And if you guys heard somebody screaming in the distance, that was her, because she's been raked over the coals for over a year in this matter. And she finally prevailed this week. So yay to a Widget's Way member that finally got their house back, because that's our goals here when things go badly. And just wanted to point that out. Yes, Melanie, Erin got her house back. She is so happy. She texts me, "Can you hear me screaming all the way from the LA courthouse?" I'm like, yes, I can. It's like, I won. I'm just so happy for her, because she's really been put through the ringer on this one. I mean, the tenant was on Section 8. They got the city involved. They got Section 8 involved. They got all kinds of people involved, but she finally won her case. So I'm just real ecstatic for her. Anytime anybody wins in the Devil's Cauldron in LA County, I'm ecstatic for them, because I know what kind of a battle that has been.
So Patty, did
Yes.
she have an attorney to represent her, or did she represent herself in that case?
No, she had an attorney.
Okay, okay.
But she's always erring on the side of caution because it's LA City and
Okay.
it's Section 8, and the tenant removed carpeting, but they actually removed a sound barrier that created a nuisance for the whole building.
Okay. So
She won.
good for her. Do you know which attorney she used? I have a similar situation, and I'd like to know who that attorney was.
No, I don't, and she's not in here, so she could tell us,
Oh,
okay?
God.
But
Okay.
we'll ask her. She'll be in here next week, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anthony, no problem. Anthony, you have a long-term tenant. She's asking us to change the carpet. It's old and ratty. How do you normally handle something like this? Well, let me ask you a question. How long has the tenant been in the property? Because the lifespan on carpet is 5 years, 7 years on upgraded carpet. So my question becomes, is it due to high traffic areas? In other words, is the carpet worn and frayed in the areas that it's utilized the most? Or is it just damaged? 18 years. Okay. It's worn and frayed. That's gonna be, I would replace the carpet for the tenant or put in hardwood flooring, because let me tell you guys something, it runs about the same price, just so you know, because I'm actually doing that right now in my own house. So I check with the tenant, but I would replace carpeting if it's been over 18 years, because if it's worn and frayed, it can become a habitability issue. That's not considered damage. If it's worn and frayed, that's considered wear and tear. Different set of facts if a dog peed all over it or dug it up in the strip areas where doors are. If there's that going on, then it's a damage. But if it's generally just worn and frayed and becomes a tripping hazard, they're not going to owe rent. So we want to get that fixed sooner rather than later. And I would just chalk that up as a business expense, because replacing carpet after 18 years is feasible. Just saying. Okay. It's feasible, especially in a rental property where they're not so cautious with it. I've seen, okay, we got something else coming up. What is upgraded carpet? It's more expensive carpet. So you get a couple more years of wear and tear on lifespan out of carpet if you use an upgraded carpet. But if you're genuinely dedicating a property to rentals, I highly suggest tile flooring or hardwood flooring. It holds up much better over the course of time. I've seen roaches come out of the kitchen outlets, even in a totally remodeled units in different buildings. Is it a habitability issue? Absolutely. Ants are a habitability issue. Spiders are a habitability issue. Bugs are considered a nuisance. Actually, it's considered vermin in the eyes of the court. So spiders, ants, cockroaches, bed bugs are considered the same way as mice and rats are, if that makes sense. The reality is you have to fix it. You, the landlord. If the tenant brought them in or the tenant's enabling that, then they could be responsible for those expenses, but you still have to fix it. somebody just, one of my good friends just sent me a text message saying, are bars required on a fourplex in San Bernardino? The answer is no, bars aren't required anywhere. And she's talking about security bars. What if the cause is poor housekeeping? If the cause is poor housekeeping or improper cleanliness or things of that nature, then you could bill the expense back to the tenant. So I always want a cleanliness report and a cause of infestation report. If on those two reports, I can get something that says that it's the tenant's fault, I'm then going to bill it back to them because the professional in the industry has declared that this is at the fault of the tenant. So now it's tenant caused damage and they're responsible for the expense. Just so you guys know, I did a tenant caused damage once on bed bugs. This was prior to COVID, okay? So tenant brought in bed bugs. Tenant was a jerk about it. I had it exterminated. Tenant flipped out while it was being exterminated, saying anybody could break into her house. She called the emergency line. She was just obnoxious about it. I handled that. And then I asked her to pay me in a 30-day written notice, demanded payment for the eradication of the bed bugs, which did cause the property to be tented. It was like $5,000. It was a real bad infestation. I ended up evicting her for not paying the $4,400 extermination bill. And I won. She showed up in court and put a priest collar on and tried to like, I'm the clergy, I'm this, I'm that. The judge didn't care. So just saying, okay? What is the name of the method of rent payment company that you suggested would be a good source? Try cozy.co, COZY.co. See if what they have to offer makes sense for you financially. Also, I know that both Appfolio, I believe, and Yardi are doing a smaller mom and pop platform, if you will. Where if you have under 100 doors, they have a discounted program rather than their huge $20,000 accounting software program. And I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't know that it's 20 grand. I'm just talking, but they both have programs for mom and pops that have less than 10 rentals or something like that. So they can do rent collection online. But cozy.co is a good one. Okay, and I believe they're part of apartments.com now, but I could be mistaken. Apartments.com bought up CoStar and a whole bunch of other advertising gurus within the industry, and I got a feeling they're going to monopolize the market. But what do I know? I'm just a blonde. Anybody have anything else? It can't be that quick of a day.
I have questions about tomorrow, about doing all the rent raises tomorrow in city of
Okay.
LA.
What's your question?
Well, so it's still 4%, right? And we still can post tomorrow. And so we're just gonna go out tomorrow. And if they're not there, we're gonna post it on the door and then mail it the same day, right?
Certified mail.
Oh, just do send it certified mail then.
I always send termination of tenancy or a rent increase
Right,
certified.
anything with money, that's what you always say.
Bingo, or terminating tenancy.
Okay, so then send everything certified mail that I don't hand deliver to somebody in the house. Okay, and it's just a normal, I think it's the G, on Agla, it's the G5 or the G6 loan, rent raise that we're using, right?
Yeah, 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy regarding a rent increase would be sufficient. Don't go over 4% unless you talk to your legal counsel. You can add an additional 1 to 2% if you're also paying utilities. But again, don't figure that out on your own. Talk to your attorney.
Perfect, okay.
Anybody else? Also, just so everyone is aware, unauthorized occupants, we can start that process starting tomorrow in LA City. Those restrictions are leaving the building at midnight tonight, folks. However, there is a caveat for tenants that brought in emotional support animals or rescued a pet during COVID. They are protected for that unauthorized pet. They're not making them get rid of the pet now or be evicted. They're actually saying that they needed that emotional support animal during COVID. It helped them deal with the COVID scamdemic. Oh, did I say that? My bad. But you're not going to be able to do evictions in LA City for unauthorized pets during the COVID pandemic. The city has protected them. And I could tell you why, if you really want to know. But the reality is, if all those tenants had to get rid of their pets or be evicted, what do you think? Hang on. Somebody was trying to call me. I'm sorry. If all of our tenants in the city of Los Angeles had to get rid of their pets they acquired during the pandemic or be evicted, one of two things is going to happen. We're going to have a whole bunch more homeless, or our animal shelters are going to be busting at the seams. It's going to be one or the other. That's why they said they could keep it. Otherwise, they're either going to be dealing with half the city being homeless or their shelters being for animal shelters, you know?
Okay, Patty,
Yes.
when it, based upon what the lady just previous was talking about going to door to pass off those notices, due to the fact that we only have 28 days in the month of February, by putting those notices on the door, does that make it effective April, or does that make April 1st by putting it out tomorrow? Okay.
Correct.
that's
You
right.
have to give a minimum of 30 days. You can give more time, but not less time. So if you post the notice on February 1st, that would take effect on April 1st,
Okay, thank you.
because there are not 30 days in the month of February. And this is
Thank you,
Patty.
Marianne, for that, because I wasn't gonna do that.
And this is Patty keeping you guys on erring on the side of caution. Let me give you an example of why, okay? A lot of people have already served their rent increase notices for LA City, and I told you guys don't. And there's a reason why I tell you not to. I don't want 5 years from now your tenant to say, but you gave me the notice while I was protected. That's unethical, right? I don't want to give a tenant any leeway to have any kind of an argument. So by you serving the notice tomorrow, waiting till April Fool's Day, we shut the door on them being able to argue anything about that rent increase. Done, handled, okay? And this is the way I look at it, because I know you have owners that are telling you, but Patty, we haven't been able to do a rent increase in 4 years. I don't want to wait 30 days. You've waited 4 years. 60 days is not going to kill you, okay? It's better for you in the long run to err on the side of caution, make sure you didn't do anything unethical, so that later down the road, when you have to go to trial, you don't fear it because you didn't do anything wrong. Okay? And that's me trying to help boost your self-confidence. I know we've waited a long time. We really have. 60 more days is not going to hurt us. We've waited 4 years. 4 years. Okay? Deep breath. 60 days is not going to hurt us. We can serve tomorrow. It takes effect on April Fool's Day. What a great day to have a rent increase, right? April Fools. Sorry. Anybody have anything? Yes.
So Patty, so if you were to serve your notices tomorrow, would you just automatically send them certified return receipt mail, or just certified mail? Or would you go
I'm gonna try put personal service. It's the best way.
personal service?
If I can't obtain where I handed it to them directly, then I'm gonna post and mail, but I'm gonna mail certified.
Certified. Okay. Thank you so much.
Anytime you mail a rent increase notice, you have to add 5 days for mailing under California state law. With that being said, that puts you over 30 days. That's why I'm telling you April Fool's Day is when it'll take effect. It's just a better business practice.
Okay.
And here comes more questions. Yes. Oh, I thought somebody said my name.
Yeah, Patty.
You-
Yeah, hi.
Oh, go
So-
ahead.
Yeah, sorry, you missed it. I had a couple of questions in there. I just was curious. On the forms, like the Prop 64, for some of them, they say they have lines for the landlord, and they have some that say tenant. But it doesn't say tenant, it says tenant name, it doesn't say tenant signature. Do I just fill that in and
Yeah,
then
you
serve it
can.
and give a proof of
Do you
service, or
mean
do I have to get them?
Proposition 65?
That's one of them, yeah, because when I was going
You,
through the
you
forms through
just said
Aglet, it says, yeah,
hold on,
64.
Arlene. You just said 64 and it messed
Sorry.
up this little blonde brain because I'm going,
Sorry.
what happened with Prop 64? What is that about? I don't know
Sorry.
anything about Prop 64. I know 65.
65. I didn't know that you had to serve, I didn't know you had to serve that annually. I thought that was a one-time thing, but apparently you used to have to serve it every year. So I just didn't, I had given it to the tenant, said, sign it and give it back to me. I'll give you a copy back with proof of service. Is that okay? Or do I just put their name?
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect. Or you could put their name on it. Look at it this way. You don't necessarily want them to sign an addendum or a disclosure. Hold on, let me rephrase that. If you're giving them notification like Prop 65, bed bugs, lead-based paint, asbestos, you're serving them that document. They don't need to sign it. You've served it to them. Look at it this way. When you serve them a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit, they're not going to
Mhm.
sign it saying they received it. Okay. They're just
Okay.
not.
Okay.
So don't be so quick to, oh, I need you to sign this. Watch yourself. If it's not
Okay.
a requirement for them to sign it, don't push the issue.
So even when you're including it in a new lease, they don't have
Mhm.
to sign it. You just,
If
okay.
you're including it
I've been
in a
having
new
them
lease
sign
and
it.
it's
Okay.
they'll sign it if it's in a new lease contract, but if you're serving them an addendum that's mandated by law, you shouldn't have to have them sign it. You're notifying them of what the rules are. It's like, look at it like the LA City notification, the LAHD notice you have to send an LA
Right,
City
yeah.
telling tenants what
Mhm.
their rights are. You don't make
Yeah.
them sign that. You just serve it to them. Same concept.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right.
And just
G.
anybody,
Jones.
who has RSO, the certificates are ready.
Yes,
print.
you can go print your RSO certificates off the website. Arlene found that out. They have them ready to go. Yay! Thank you, Arlene, for keeping us in the know in Larso.
Sure.
G. Jones, how much is the max rent increase for San Bernardino County? Property is individually owned and not subject to the TPA, and the tenant is on Section 8. G. Jones, you're asking me a good question. And it's got a lot of moving parts. Okay, so the 8.8% is for LA County. The 9.6% is for San Bernardino County, and that is properties that are subject to the TPA. If you're exempt from the TPA, which is statewide rent control, then it would be 10% on a 30-day or a 90-day notice for anything over 10%. However, your big caveat in this whole equation is the fact that you have Section 8. So you actually have to prepare your rent increase notice and get approval for the increase through Section 8. So contact the workers, tell them that you want to do a rent increase, tell them that you're trying to do 10% or the 9.6% depending, and have them approve it so that you can actually serve the rent increase notice. You need Section 8 to approve a rent increase notice.
Patty, I had
Yes.
overheard a conversation some time ago stating that if your rents are substantially less than market rent, even below the threshold that LA City says that it should be, that you can actually go in for higher. My question is, if I go into the Section 8 portal, does it still have to be a 3% increase, or can I ask for more as long as I can validate that it is a lot more than what I'm charging?
You can always ask for more if they're going to approve it.
Mhm.
Is a different set of facts.
Okay, so let's say that they do approve it, but if that is not in line with RSO, then what? That would be greater than the 3%, but they're Section 8ers. And
You have to follow the city guidelines or you're in violation of the law.
Okay, so that means only 3%. Or 4% rather. Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm being quiet and watching you answer your own question. Yes.
Okay,
G. Jones, Fast Evict told you 8.8% because it's LA County and it's the least amount. So if they weren't sure, they're just having you err on the side of caution. It's 9.6 for San Bernardino County and Riverside County. That's your own personal opinion. 9.6 is the TPA for Riverside and San Bernardino counties within the metropolis of the Ontario airport is why. So they capped the TPA at 9.6%. You can do 9.6% in San Bernardino County for apartments right now. Okay, if it's a single family home, it's 10% or less. If you do more than 10%, it requires a 90-day notice. There is no more 60-day notice anymore. And if we're in a state of emergency, it could be considered price gouging, which would make the owner susceptible to a $10,000 fine and 6 months in jail. So don't ever do over 10% unless you've talked to your legal counsel first. Big deep breath. So you guys know, I'm going to give you a tip and trick out of left field, and I mean left field, okay? For those of you that aren't aware, I am actually really busy in my personal life playing landlord because my tenants vacated. Just wanted to share a tip and a trick with you guys. You know, if you have glass shower doors, they get those hard water spots and that soap scum that's just so hard to get rid of. Here comes how to do that, okay? Soap scum on shower doors or hard water spots. The easiest way to clean that off is to get a used dryer sheet from the clothes dryer. Not a new one, a used dryer sheet from the clothes dryer. Get that damp, okay? Get it wet, and then rub it on the window or the glass shower door. What'll happen is it'll make a milky foam, a milky film, and it looks gross. You're like, what is this, Patty? This is disgusting. Wipe that all down, then take a dry paper towel and wipe it crystal clear. It's that easy. I just learned that from somebody else. I thought I'd share it with you guys. Hard water spots, soap scum, remove it with a damp used dryer sheet. I use a blade for the shower doors. Try the dryer sheet. It actually works and no labor. And I mean none.
Patty, I have a question
Sure.
about the pets.
Okay.
My tenant did get one during COVID.
Okay.
Obviously I cannot ask him to return it to the shelter.
Correct.
What about in the future? How do we protect ourselves from them not getting additional pets?
Because after tonight, they can't. They were only protected until January 31st of 2024. Anything that comes in after that is not COVID related.
Do we serve them with the notice or we just,
So if on
No more
February
pets.
1st, they bring in a kangaroo, you can allow them to keep the ones that were already there, but the kangaroos gotta go. Anything that comes in February 1st or after is unauthorized, okay? Does anybody else have anything that do I have a recommendation for a tenant rental insurance with a low premium? You're funny. Have you checked out tenants renters insurance? Because it's about $12 a month for them to have $50,000 in coverage. Tell them to go through whoever their auto insurance is through. Usually they'll give them a multi-policy discount. Okay, got it?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
That is the easiest way. So I always tell my tenants, And usually insurance is an issue at inception of the lease, meaning when they're moving in, because you want to make it a requirement on their contract. So I always tell them, look, call your auto insurance. They usually give you a multi-policy discount because whoever you pay every month now is going to give you a better deal because you have more than one policy with them. So that's usually a great tip that I use for them for that. Is usually whoever their auto insurance is through is usually the best bet. I know Allstate, State Farm, they all do renter's insurance. So it's just a great tool for them to have. And honestly, in the event of an oh holy crap, it makes your life much easier if the tenant's insured. People ask me all the time, Patty, why is that so important? Let me explain. A pipe breaks in your house. It floods the unit, damages the tenant's couch and their TV. But the bigger problem is the unit's uninhabitable and it's going to be that way for about 3 weeks until everything gets fixed. Okay. You're going to tell the tenant to call their insurance company to have them put them in a hotel because the property is uninhabitable. The insurance company is going to pay to put them in a hotel, offer to pay the tenant's deductible. It's only $50, maybe $100, but it's less than you paying that hotel stay the entire time. So it helps you financially when things go bad. Okay.
Yes. So Patty, with that being said, would it be appropriate and is it legal for me to ask that insurance company for a copy of the policy to reflect that the owner is also additional insured?
Some agencies won't offer additional insured, but they will add interested party. If they won't additionally insure the owner, you want interested party. What that does is it notifies any interested party if the policy is going to be canceled for non-payment, non-renewal, something like that. Once you get that notice, you can then serve your tenant with a cure or quit because the policy is going to be canceled. Make
Okay.
sense?
Right, exactly. Thank you so much.
State Farmers, I think you mean State Farm is not doing renter's insurance in San Bernardino County. Allstate is not insuring owners in the state of California anymore for new properties. So I get it. Some of the insurance companies are making changes. We got to change with it. Hi, Tony. I'm removing all my glass shower doors from my units and replacing them with a shower rod. Most tenants don't know how to clean or know how to clean them and sometimes damage them. I agree. Fixing or replacing a shower door is costly. I'm tired of cleaning glass doors and shower tracks. I agree with you, Tony. I've been cleaning up somebody else's stuff for the past 3 weekends in a row. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it too. Toggle pays you $12 per tenant if they apply. Yes. Or they can apply online. They're on AGLA webinars. Toggle is a really good resource for renters insurance. Okay, you guys? If you have a tenant that applies for a quote, you get paid a $12 referral. Absolutely. Val, tenant wanted new carpet. It was approximately 7 years old. However, they had several small dogs and we decided not to do it. Now they're moving to Texas. Good idea. If there's dog damage expected, but the carpet's 8 years old, are they still responsible for part of the new flooring? And what if we replace with laminate versus carpet? How much do we charge for damage? Key there was damage. So if their little dogs peed all over the carpet, they're going to have to pay to have it replaced. I understand laminate versus carpeting. So here's what I would tell you to do. Get an estimate to put in both. Right now, I know because I just did this at my own house, carpet is more expensive than laminate wood floor. Okay, it didn't used to be that way, but right now, carpet is more expensive than laminate. So if you're replacing and you want to go with least expensive and can show the tenant that you got an estimate to replace for carpet, but it was more expensive, you went with the less expensive wood flooring or the laminate, then they would be responsible for those costs because it's less expensive. like for like. Let me give you a different example, just so we're all on the same page. There's currently wood flooring in the house and you want to replace it with carpet. Carpet is more expensive. The tenant is not responsible for that. They are not responsible to upgrade your house at their expense, just for damages. So in the event that you want to put in the more expensive upgraded carpet, the tenant doesn't pay the difference. Make sense? So if it's $1,000 for wood flooring and $1,500 for carpeting, and carpeting is what's there, but you want to put in wood flooring now, you can only charge the tenant what it actually cost you if it's less expensive than the carpeting that was already there. In the event the owner wants to upgrade, then the tenant would only be responsible to replace what was already there. I hope that makes sense. So you could get it.
how-
Yes.
Sorry, how would you decipher, like, as far as if the dog peed all over the carpet, how would it not be a cleaning as opposed to changing the whole carpet? Like, how would you justify saying, your dog peed all
Because
over
if the
place?
urine is soaked into the padding, or it's in the backing, or it's in the subfloor, that's way past just the carpet.
Got it, okay.
Usually when you have pet stains, and I'm just talking out loud, you got to replace the padding too, because they pee through the carpet. It goes right into the backing. It goes right into the padding. And now even if you replace the carpet and leave the padding, you're still going to have the pet urine smell. You got to replace the padding underneath the carpet. And sometimes you even have to seal the subfloor with kilts, depending on the severity of the issue and what your
Got it.
subfloor is. Sometimes if your subfloor is cement, you don't have as many problems as if you have a subfloor that is wood-based, that absorbs moisture, it absorbs odor, where cement doesn't. Hope that made sense.
Patty,
Yes.
cement does absorb. It absorbs water. It has pores. So it does,
Cem-
especially in the summer.
But not as much as wood floor does. Wood
No, it
floor
doesn't.
absorbs much, much more. So I agree with you, yes. But what I'm saying is damage is damage is damage all day long. And you can charge a tenant for damage. You can't charge the tenant for upgrades, okay? But you can charge them for damage.
Patty, what if you have a tenant, you have carpeting on stairs and it's maybe, I don't know, 6 years old. But when the tenant moves out, I guess it's damaged. It looks like it can't be cleaned. I don't know. Can you get somebody to come out and give an estimate and say, this is how much it's going to be to clean, but I don't think it's going to be able to be cleaned.
Yes,
And
if
then
your
or do you-
if your carpet company will come out and tell you they can't clean this, it needs to be replaced. You just had a professional tell you that it can't be cleaned and it needs to be replaced.
Mhm. Okay.
And
Okay,
you see
Patty, I have
Val
a
in there
question.
is saying she's definitely getting rid of all of her carpet. I agree with you, Val. I'm doing the same thing, one room
Even
at
on
a time.
stairs, even on stairs, you're not worried about noise.
If it's in a single family residence, I don't care because it's their
Yeah.
own noise. It's
Yeah,
their
no, but,
own noise.
But in a multifamily.
In a multifamily, you'd be shocked what sound barriers they have they can put in place now. They got some
Wow.
pretty good sound barrier stuff they can put under wood flooring, just so you know.
And they can do that on the vinyl stuff too.
Absolutely. I just ask them, tell them if that's a concern of yours, ask them about what they have for a sound barrier.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Hang on, you guys, my eyeball itches.
One question, Patty, please.
Yes.
Now, in case of rent increase notices, first of all, if you give it to them in person, you still have to mail one to them, right? Or no?
No, personal services, that's it, you're done. I personally handed it to
Okay,
you, you
wonderful.
were served.
Okay, I thought it's just the rule, no matter what, you have to send one in mail also, but I'm sure, I'm very glad you clarified that. The next question about the same issue. If you post it, now, is it okay to just mail it with a proof of service? Because that would also almost be the same as certified. Is that okay or not?
The proof of service should never be seen by the tenant unless you're standing in a courtroom. If they have a proof of service and you're not in a courtroom, you're doing it wrong.
Say that again. I didn't catch up.
The tenant should never see a completed proof of service unless you're standing in court. The proof of service is your document. The tenant should never get it. It should never be served to them. And if it is served to them, it shouldn't be filled out. It should be blank.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that when you give a notice to post it, just to cover yourself, instead of sending it certified, you send a proof of service, so that is, I guess it's faster, easier. Is it not? No? Okay, that's it.
No, that's not how that works. So proof of
Patty,
service.
he's saying proof of mailing. I think he means proof of
I
mailing.
got you. He's wanting proof
Oh,
of
I'm sorry,
mailing.
I'm sorry. It's a proof of mailing. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's why we have a whole team of landlords and all of us like-minded people here, because I'm thinking, no, you're crazy. But Arlene picked up on it. Thank you, you guys. Thank you. Mwah. Correct. You can get proof of mailing, not proof of service. Different document, okay? Proof of
Thank you,
mailing
thank you.
works. No
Thank you,
problem.
Arlene. Thank you, Arlene.
Teamwork, you guys, teamwork. Many realtor forms have the proof of service on them, often on page 1, but usually on page 2. That's correct, G. Jones, but here's what you need to know. When you serve the tenant, the proof of service should be blank because you haven't served them yet. You actually can't fill that part of it out until after you serve them. So when you're serving a tenant, the proof of service, if it's attached to your notice, should be blank. You can't fill that out until after you serve it and you know how you served it. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So even if there's a proof of service attached to the document on a realtor form, CAA uses something similar. So does car forms. You're absolutely correct. But the proof of service should not be completed on the tenant's portion. Once you serve it, then you complete it, and that you can use in court. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right, anybody have anything else?
Yeah, I have 2 little questions. Well, one little and one kind of medium. My first
Okay.
little question is on the rental criteria that you gave us a sample of. The
Yes.
second one says the application screening fee is $45 per person and non-refundable. Money orders only. Okay, I'm charging $40 right now. Is this, I can up it to 45? That's the
I
max?
believe, no, that is not the max. I believe the max is $51 and
It's almost, yeah, it's almost 52 now.
Yeah, it's
I think it's
51
close to
and
52.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real close to $52. So to answer your question, no, 45 is not the maximum. $51 and change, and I don't have the exact dollar amount, is the maximum.
Oh, okay. So you just put that as an example, just the $45.
Bingo.
And then the money orders only, since I do everything on my website with that folio, it just does electronically, so that I can just disregard that. Okay,
Exactly.
cool.
You can
And then
restructure that to meet your needs. I just
Got it.
gave it as an example, and it triggered you to ask a question, and that's why I did that.
Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you. And then my medium-sized question is this. I have a property in Inglewood where my tenant has somebody living in the garage. And yeah, I know. It's not the first time either. So I was wondering, how do I go about serving them to obviously get that person out?
3-day curable breach of covenant, unauthorized occupants in an unfit living area. Got it?
Yeah, no, say it again, 3-day?
3-day cure or quit, also
Cure,
known
okay.
as a 3-day curable breach of covenant for
Uh-huh.
unauthorized occupants living in an area that's unfit for habitation.
Unauthorized habitat living in an unfit living area. Okay. Okay. I like that.
Uninhabitable area.
Uninhabitable area.
Right. A garage isn't a habitable living dwelling. There's not a certificate of occupancy on it. And
Okay.
Arlene has just posted that the maximum application fee is $53.33.
Thank you, Arlene. Okay.
Hey, teamwork, teamwork.
I know, it makes the dream work. Okay, so
does.
I'm gonna post, and then I go back in 3 days, and obviously the tenant is, I mean, the person's still gonna be in the garage. So I have to do it 3 times or something like that, right?
Ask your legal counsel because every city's different. You know, in Riverside County and San Bernardino County, we're mostly one and done. In areas of LA City, they want 5 curables before we do a quit. The most
Okay.
important thing I could teach you is don't accept the rent. Everybody thinks I'm evicting them, but I'm evicting them for unauthorized occupants. I'm not evicting them because they didn't pay me. You still cannot accept rent or you void the issue, especially in LA. If you accept rent after that time period, then you're waiving the violation by
Okay,
accepting
so
the
then
rent.
don't accept the rent like right after you serve it. So for instance, if I serve it tomorrow, I don't accept the rent for February. Okay,
Until they
and-
correct the violation
Right.
or they're evicted by the sheriff.
got it. Okay, and actually you're my legal counsel because I use fast eviction, so I'm gonna have to call you after to ask you how many times I gotta do this.
It depends on if it's RSO or not. If it's RSO, you're probably
Inglewood,
gonna have to do it
city of-
City of Inglewood.
Yeah.
I'd guess more along the lines of 3.
Okay,
But I'm gonna have to go ask the attorney because
Okay.
they're the ones that argue this in court. So
okay, I'll argue, I'll
listen-
serve them once and then I'll call you after the 3 days and you tell me what to do.
right. And then
Thank
always send us a copy of what you're serving because it has to have the material breach, how they rectify it, what they did wrong, dates, times, and witnesses. There's specific information that needs to go on a cure quick notice. It has
Right.
to reference the
Okay.
paragraph of the lease they're in violation of. It has to
Okay.
reference how they fix the issue, and it has to do dates, times, and witnesses.
Okay, I'll call you later
Okay.
so we can fill it out together then. Thanks.
Fast Evictions is the law firm that I work at. I work at Fast Evict Law Group. During the
That's
day,
who I
it's my
use.
8 to 5. Somebody's asking me, what is Fast Evictions? Fast Evictions is an attorney-owned law firm that helps landlords do evictions, and I happen to work there. I'm in charge of their marketing department and of their education. Go figure.
And
How
she's
does
just
Patty
as
know?
awesome there as she is here.
How does Patty know all these new laws? It's part of my job. So yes,
Patty,
I
one
work
more
at
question,
Fast
Patty.
Evict. I am not an attorney, just so everybody knows. And what were
Patty.
you asking, David? I hear you
Yes.
out there.
Okay, promise you don't beat me up on this one.
I would never.
Okay, so Patty, I heard and kind of confirmed that when it comes to Section 8, you can increase the rent regardless of rent control because Section 8 is exempt from the rent control of any city, anything like that. And if they agree to it, according to your zip code, according to your submarket, that's it. That's it. You're done.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead and please explain more there.
Section 8 is a federally funded program. And look at it this way. I get questions all the time. How much can I do an increase on? Is it on the full amount of the rent that's owed every month or just on the tenant's portion? It's on the full amount of the rent. You can do a rent increase on the full amount of your rent, not just the tenant's portion. You need to have approval from Section 8 before you implement that increase. Here's what I can tell you about what David just said, okay? Yes, Section 8 can approve an increase over the rent control amount if you're in a city that has maybe 3% or even 1%. Section 8 can approve an increase over that amount. However, you don't ever want to do over 10% there on Section 8, even if they approve it. Don't do over 10%. It's bad, okay? You're still susceptible to price gouging during a state of emergency, even if Section 8 approves the increase. So you want to be careful not to do anything over 10%, okay? And that's just me trying to talk to you. I tried to text or call you as a new member and I was not able. What is the easiest way to reach you? Reach out during business time. Send me an email. Email me at widget@widgetsway.com and make sure you put your phone number in there and I'll call you just as soon as I have a minute. Okay? You can also text me at 855-WIDGET-5, 855-WIDGET-5, and you can text me there. Okay?
Patty,
Yes.
based upon what the gentleman just said and what you clarified, from my understanding, because most Section 8ers are paying substantially less than, you know, well, less than what the total amount of rent is, obviously. But my point being is that when the rent goes up, it's not predicated on anything other than their ability to pay. So if it went up $500 or $600, it's still only 1/3 of their clarified rent or defined income. So let's say if their income was 1,000, only thing they're going to pay is 300 regardless. That has nothing to do with the rent amount. It's predicated on their ability to pay.
I understand that. It has to do with the HAP amount and what they pay. So sometimes a tenant makes more money at their job and all of a sudden their HAP amount changes. And instead of their portion being $239, now Section 8 is only paying $239 and the tenant is responsible for the balance. So your HAP amount can change depending on the tenant's income. And that's not your job to figure out. That's Section 8's job. They just tell you what the tenant's portion is and what your portion is. But from time to time, Section 8 will send you a letter saying that their portion amounts have changed. And that's because maybe your tenant got a better paying job, or maybe they had someone move out of a household or move into a household. There's all kinds of things that can happen in the Section 8 contract that quite frankly isn't your business or concern, as far as your tenant's portions, ability to pay, et cetera, get changed as their income changes.
Right, and I understood that, but I was just listening to what the gentleman had said, that, and I was kind of concerned. My eyebrows had kind of raised, because he said that Section 8's ability to increase the rent can be greater than what we have, because they're not really subject to the RSO. And I wanted some clarification on that, because that is a different light on the whole subject based upon that. In other words, instead of me asking for the 4% because they're in an RSO area, can I go
Ask for
greater than-
10% because you're under market value and see if Section 8 approves it.
But
The
only
big
10%.
caveat is
Okay. Mhm.
they have to approve it.
I understand. And as
Okay.
long as I have the comps to support it, and the comps that I have that will support probably, my tenants are so below the market rent. I mean, way below the market rent. It's ridiculous. And I'm losing literally tens of thousands of dollars every year because of it.
I know the problem.
So,
Hi.
Yeah, so here's the deal.
Hello.
You could be a good landlord, or you could be a bad landlord. And in my opinion, I'm one of the best, because I keep my places looking sparkly nice all the time. But when you do that, they don't ever want to leave. They're lifers. They want to stay there forever. So it's really a bad thing for you to keep dumping in $20,000, $30,000 a year and improvements and everything, and you're still stuck with some rent from 10, 15, 20 years ago. You understand what I'm
Exactly.
up against? So that's what I'm looking
Absolutely.
for, a way to correct that. If you can help me, I'll come and give you a big hug and take you to lunch or dinner. Okay.
You got it. Let me work on it with the new laws that are in a place. Give me about a week or so and then touch bases with me again. I'll
Okay.
see what other tips I can give you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a tenant with an unsuccessful eviction case as I dismissed the case, and now she owes me 4 months rent from 2022. What are the letters to start serving tomorrow? What are you speaking of? Educate me, please, because I need to get on the same bandwagon you're on. And you're going to say, because she owes me 4 months rent in 2022, I'm going to tell you to go file small claims and sue her in small claims court, because you can never evict for rents that are over 12 months old. Never. All that COVID rent, we haven't been able to do evictions on the COVID rent. We can get a money judgment on the COVID rent, but you can't evict for it. So I would let them know that they owe rents, and I'd send them a demand letter giving them 30 days to pay me that past due rent. And if they didn't pay me in 30 days, I'd sue them in small claims court and get a money judgment against them for the money they owe me. Because if they owe you pandemic money, you'll never be able to evict for it. You can only go back legally 12 months on a 3-day notice. Yes, they've been threatening tenants for quite some time, saying you can be evicted starting on February 1st. I'd like to know how they're going to evict them for rent that happened 2 years ago, because I can't do it. I can only go back 12 months on a 3-day notice. See, the government set this up by design so we could never evict the tenants for it. We could only sue them in small claims court and get the money owed to us. That's it. Sorry. Say that again, please, for COVID rent letter, attorney letter, or just a normal letter from owner manager. Send it as a demand letter, a demand for payment. You know how when you send a disposition, a security deposit, you're actually demanding payment? Oh, so I would send them a letter stating that you owe rent from this month for this amount, this month for this amount, this month for this amount. I'd give them a detailed ledger of what they owed. And then I'd tell them, you must pay this in full within 30 days to avoid further legal action. Small claims says, in order for you to file a case there, you must first send a demand letter to your tenant. Certified mail would be good, okay? And wait 30 days. After 30 days, if they don't pay you, you can then file the lawsuit in small claims. Demand letter comes first, okay? And as far as I know, there's no attorneys that are doing evictions for COVID rents because it was set up by design. We can only go back 12 months legally on a 3-day notice, and all of that is more than 12 months old. Hope that makes sense to you guys. It was built by design. All right, does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to end this for today. All of a sudden, Patty's getting a hot flash. I've had enough. It is heated up. Hi, sister. The 15th. The 15th. I'm trying.
Blessed be. We love you. Thank you, Patty.
Oh, thank you guys. If you guys need anything, let me know. I'm going to get off of here for the day. Have a great day. You guys hunt me down if you need me. Be safe and err on the side of caution, okay? Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Blessings.